Hello, I'm Dan Baker. Welcome to Newsweek. Coming up today, the radio DJ who gave up his hearing for a week for Central News. Mack tells Newsweek the impact the experiment had and how it changed his attitude towards the deaf and hearing-impaired community. 1 in 7 people in the UK has a hearing problem. Well, as part of the Trading Places series, Central News has been looking at how difficult life is for those who've lost some or all of their hearing. DJ Mack, who presents the breakfast show on 106 Century FM, agreed to lose his for a week. We'll meet him in a moment. First, here's Debbie Groves with a look at how he got on.
The radio presenter Mack has agreed to explore the world of deafness in our unique experiment. But to do that, we needed to get moulds tailor-made for his ears. When he was measured for them, he got his first taste of life without full sound.
You really have to concentrate hard there to hear what's being said.
For the duration of the experiment, the Royal National Institute for Deaf People will support Graham.
I think it's an excellent idea. Obviously, it's really important that people that perhaps don't understand the problems related to deafness can have those illustrated in a really practical way.
Even relaxing, Graham loves music. He used to be in a rock and roll band and still plays the guitar. Before we can take away Graham's hearing, he needs to get it tested. We arranged for him to see a specialist at a local hospital. For Graham, it's the first shock of the experiment. The doctor discovered the DJ's already starting to lose some of his hearing.
At the bottom end of the scale here, where it says 120.
For someone of my age, I'm 38. Is that normal or is that bad?
You would not normally expect to see that in a 38-year-old.
Graham is losing his hearing during his breakfast show, and he's doing it live on air. His sidekick Jimmy will need to be his ears.
Yeah, that's going in now. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Can you hear?
Ooh, that went in then. Well, we're going to be late for the news, so you better push that. What? That one there. There you go. 3 to 10, latest news is next. I'm Mack. This is my Mack attack. If you're wondering why it sounds a little bit different today, it's because I can't hear what's going on, because I'm experiencing what it's like to be hard of hearing for the weekend on Century. No, not yet? What, a little bit more? What? Well, Jimmy's counting me down now to make this work. There we go.
Graham's done it. He put his reputation on the line to do his show deaf.
Oh!
50,000 people with hearing problems use British Sign Language. Graham's taking part in classes at the Royal School for the Deaf in Derby.
Live in a world that is not as user-friendly as ours, and that's our fault, but I don't really feel sorry for them at all. It's a culture, and it's a very expressive and emotional culture.
If someone is born deaf, it can be difficult for them to learn to talk. When Graham's watching Derby County play, he experiences being mute.
Not being able to communicate is soul-destroying. I became very serious and I was thinking a lot, and I didn't want to communicate because it was such a hassle. I just wanted to, like, let's finish off now, let's go. You know, I just wanted to go home to bed.
I was really worried about him, definitely. He really became very introverted, and you would try and say something to him, and the most we were getting from him was a thumbs up. He's saying he's okay, but you could see his eyes, he was not responding, he was not interacting. It was really quite confusing, really.
Nobody seemed to feel sorry for themselves, like I did when I went through not being able to communicate properly. It was a way of life, and it was a beautiful thing to see performed. Sign language. Jerry at the deaf school, fantastic. I mean, that was real entertainment. I liked the deaf people I met, and there's all different kinds of people, but the deaf people I met, I thought were a lot of fun. They were much more extroverted than I expected, a lot more expressive, because sign language is like that.
Well, I'm joined now by Mack. Graham, thanks for coming on to Newsweek. You spent almost a week with no hearing at all, pretty much. What was the most traumatic moment, you think, of that time?
The scariest thing, the most uncomfortable thing, was probably when they took my ability to communicate away. They said, OK, you know, we've taken your hearing away for this, or most of my hearing away for this amount of time. Now, we'd like you to experience what deaf people experience when they're with hearing people, which is they cannot communicate properly with them. And that was, for me, it was horrible. I was like, communicating became such a nuisance. I just became very withdrawn and stayed with my own thoughts, and yeah, and scared my wife a bit, because she's used to me being quite expressive and having an opinion about everything. For me to suddenly be quiet, it was almost like something was wrong. Well, nothing was wrong. It was just, you know, it was just too much trouble. That was probably the worst bit.
And you actually found out during the week that you have some hearing problems of your own. I mean, that coupled with the experiences you had, I mean, how scared are you by that now?
Yeah, I always had my headphones quieter than everybody else's at work, and now I have them barely on. And it's been a revelation on how quiet you can have your headphones and still work comfortably. You've got this kind of inbuilt thing that, oh, I need to have it loud to feel the music and know what the callers are saying, and you really don't. And so now I'm almost obsessive about it. We did a show from Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and I went out to a show, a very noisy percussion show called the Blue Man Group, and I wore earplugs. So now I'm a lot more aware of hearing and how important it is to me, and how much I'd like to keep what I've got as it is. And so, yeah, I'm a lot more aware of it.
Newsweek has quite a large audience of deaf and hearing impaired people. Has your experience changed the way you view people in that situation, do you think?
Totally. I'd never really met any deaf people or spent any amount of time with them, and I met lots of deaf people, and the people I met were lovely people. And as they said, they don't like to be described as disabled. A lot of them don't like to be described as disabled. In fact, some of them think it's a bit of an insult. They're actually a minority language group. And that was a revelation. I mean, in their own community, they don't have any problems at all with communication. It's when they're in with the hearing community, and really it's our problem. We're the ones that should... There are so many deaf people living alongside us, and you can't tell someone's deaf by looking at them. We should be a bit more sympathetic, and, you know, at school maybe we should be taught sign language. Well, we definitely should, because kids pick things up really quickly. Kids should be taught it, you know, at school.
Right, so, and do you think that this, on reflection, then was a worthwhile experiment, a worthwhile experience?
Absolutely. I found out so much about the deaf community and about myself. It was not pleasant a lot of the time. It was uncomfortable a lot of the time, but it was definitely worthwhile from my point of view. And I'm glad I did it. However, I wouldn't do it again. If you were to ask me to do it again, I'd say, no, thanks, I've done it. I've experienced it. And it was an experience definitely worthwhile. Great. Amazing.
Well, Graham Mack, thanks very much for joining us on Newsweek today.
Thank you.